Once upon a time, in the city of Arinder, a place of wonder built by 7 legendary heroes, the streets glowed softly under the light of the evening sun. The air was filled with the scent of blooming night flowers and the distant hum of music from the bazaar. It was the kind of evening that felt alive with possibility, where every corner of the city seemed to whisper secrets of love and magic. Mariska, the mage with long, fiery orange hair and a blue scarf draped elegantly around her shoulders, made her way through the winding streets. Her heart fluttered with anticipation. Tonight, she was meeting Grims, the man who had captured her heart. She adjusted her scarf, the soft fabric brushing against her cheek, and smiled to herself. It was the same scarf he had given her years ago, a symbol of their unbreakable bond. The Grand Bazaar was a spectacle of colors and sounds. Lanterns hung from every stall, casting a warm, golden light over the bustling crowd. Merchants called out to passers-by, offering everything from shimmering jewels to steaming cups of spiced tea. The air was alive with laughter, music, and the clinking of coins. Mariska spotted Grims near a stall selling intricate glass figurines. He stood with his hands in his pockets, his short black hair tousled by the evening breeze. He wore his own blue scarf, a perfect match to hers, and when he turned to see her, his face lit up with a smile that made her heart skip a beat.
Mariska,
He said, his voice warm and familiar.
you're here.
Of course I am.
She replied, stepping closer.
I wouldn't miss this for the world.
They embraced, and for a moment, the world around them faded away. When they pulled back, Grims gently took her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers.
Shall we?
He asked, gesturing to the bazaar. They wandered through the stalls, their conversation flowing effortlessly. Grims pointed out a stall selling rare books, and Mariska's eyes sparkled with excitement.
Look at this one.
She said, holding up a leather-bound tome with golden lettering.
It's a collection of ancient spells from the Southern Isles. I've been searching for this for months.
Grims chuckled.
Of course you'd find the one thing I can't afford.
He teased, though he quickly handed the merchant a handful of coins.
Consider it an early gift.
Mariska beamed, tucking the book under her arm.
You're too good to me.
As the sky deepened into shades of purple and blue, they found themselves at a small cafe tucked away in a quiet corner of the bazaar. Strings of lanterns hung overhead, and the scent of freshly baked pastries filled the air. They settled at a table, and Grims ordered 2 cups of spiced tea and a plate of honey-drenched sweets.
Do you remember the first time we met here?
Mariska asked, stirring her tea.
How could I forget?
Grims replied, his eyes softening.
You were arguing with a merchant over the price of a spellbook. I thought you were the most stubborn person I'd ever met.
Mariska laughed, the sound like music.
And you were standing there, pretending to browse, but really just eavesdropping on my conversation.
Guilty.
Grims admitted with a grin.
But can you blame me? You were fascinating.
They talked for hours, sharing stories and dreams. Mariska told him about her latest discoveries in the archives, her voice animated as she described the ancient spells she had uncovered. Grims listened intently, his gaze never leaving her face. In turn, he spoke of his work as a rune carver, the intricate symbols he crafted to protect the city, and his hope of one day creating something truly extraordinary. As the night deepened, they left the cafe and strolled through the quieter streets of Arinder. The city was bathed in moonlight, the cobblestones glistening like silver. They paused by a fountain in the center of a small square, its waters shimmering with a faint, magical glow.
It's beautiful.
Mariska whispered, leaning against Grims.
It is.
He agreed, though his eyes were on her. They stood there for a while, wrapped in each other's warmth, the world around them quiet and still. Eventually, Grims reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, intricately carved wooden box.
I made this for you.
He said, handing it to her. Mariska opened the box to find a delicate pendant shaped like a crescent moon, its surface etched with tiny runes.
Grims, it's stunning.
She breathed.
The runes are for protection.
He explained.
And for love. So no matter where you are, you'll always know how much you mean to me.
Tears welled in Mariska's eyes as she fastened the pendant around her neck.
I love it.
She said, her voice trembling.
And I love you.
Grims cupped her face in his hands, his thumb brushing away a tear.
I love you too, Mariska. More than anything.
They kissed under the moonlight, the city of Arinder standing as a silent witness to their love. For that one perfect evening, the world was theirs, and nothing else mattered. As they left the moonlit square, Mariska and Grims wandered through the streets of Arinder, now illuminated by the soft glow of enchanted lanterns. The city seemed to hum with a quiet energy, as if it, too, was alive and watching. Their hands remained intertwined, and their conversation drifted to the recent whispers that had been circulating through the city.
Have you heard the latest news about the royal family?
Mariska asked, her voice low but curious.
They say the king has fallen ill, and the throne has passed to Princess Seraphine.
Grims nodded, his expression thoughtful.
I've heard the rumors. People are saying she's not like her father. They call her ambitious, calculating, some even say dangerous.
Mariska frowned, her fingers tightening around his.
Do you think it's true? She's always seemed so distant. I've only seen her a handful of times at court, but she never smiles. It's like she's always plotting something.
It's hard to say,
Grims replied, his tone cautious.
but the captain of the royal guard summoned me earlier today. He wants to meet tomorrow to discuss something urgent. I don't know what it's about, but I have a feeling it's tied to the princess.
Mariska stopped walking and turned to face him, her orange hair catching the light of the lanterns.
Do you think it's serious? Should I be worried?
Grims reached out and gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear.
I don't want you to worry. Whatever it is, I'll handle it. But
He hesitated, his green eyes searching hers.
if things get complicated, promise me you'll be careful. The royal court is a dangerous place, especially now.
Mariska smiled softly, though her eyes held a flicker of concern.
Deal.
He said, pulling her into a gentle embrace. They stood like that for a moment, the warmth of their connection shielding them from the cool night air. As they continued their walk, the conversation shifted to lighter topics, Mariska's latest experiments with potions, Grimm's progress on a new rune design, and their shared dream of one day leaving the city to explore the world beyond Arinder. But beneath the surface, the weight of the royal intrigue lingered, a subtle undercurrent that neither of them could ignore. Eventually, they reached the steps of Mariska's home, a cozy townhouse nestled between a bakery and a bookstore. The scent of fresh bread still lingered in the air, and the windows of the house glowed with the warm light of her study.
This is where I leave you.
Grimm said, his voice tinged with reluctance. He brushed his thumb over the back of her hand before letting go.
But I'll see you soon, I promise.
Mariska nodded, though her heart ached at the thought of him leaving.
Be safe, Grims. And whatever the captain wants, remember you're not alone. I'm here for you.
He smiled, that same smile that had captured her heart so many years ago.
I know. And that's what gives me strength.
With one last kiss, they parted ways. Mariska watched as Grims disappeared into the night, his blue scarf a faint blur against the darkness. She touched the pendant he had given her, the runes cool against her skin, and whispered a quiet spell of protection under her breath. As she stepped inside, the warmth of her home enveloped her, but her mind remained on Grims and the uncertain future that lay ahead. The city of Arinder, once a place of peace and wonder, now felt like a puzzle with missing pieces. And as the lanterns outside flickered in the breeze, Mariska couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were about to change in ways they couldn't yet imagine.